council member. I want to say thank you for all of your support the past 6 years and for the opportunity once again to represent you. Thank you for your support with the election. I was re-elected, so I want to say thank you. Thank you for continuing to trust me. For those who I have not been, I am your neighbor. I'm the first council member to ever be elected who lives in Boundary Creek. Okay? And I say that for one reason. Because I know this neighborhood. I've lived here for almost 20 years. So I know this neighborhood. And I know the demands and the expectations that we have of our city. And so I want to thank each of you for being here. As I was thinking, and those of you who are on next door, raise your hand if you're on next door. I just want to kind of get a feel.
Next door.
As you know, I'm pretty active. I'm trying to stay active on next door. But I've also given my email address and my cell number because I can't serve the city if you're on next door at the same time. So I want to make sure that you can always get in touch with me if you need to. I want to thank those of you who have inboxed me on next door, because you shared some confidential information with me that has allowed me to share information with our police department. Let's give our police a round of applause. Thank you for what you do and how you serve each and every day. You serve our community. And so, first of all, what I want to do, because we're hurt. We're hurt. I got the call at 9 a.m. and I've been on the phone almost every day with some of our heroes that you're going to hear from this evening since I got the call. And so there's some information, as I said on next door, I corrected misinformation, but there's certain information I could not share. And whatever information can be shared will be shared with you tonight. And so I want to make sure that everyone, you know, Boy Lawrence had a movie, a real popular movie that came out a few years ago, and the title of the movie was Run Tell That. Okay? And I want y'all to know, I hope you know where I'm going. Once you get the facts tonight, I want you to run tell that. So we can separate the facts from a lot of the misinformation. What you're going to get tonight is going to be facts. But because we're hurting, I've asked Pastor Summer, who pastors right here at the Mound Creek Church, to open us up tonight with prayer. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a Christian. Okay? I'm not ashamed to say that. And at a time like this, faith helps carry you on. And so, Pastor Summer, if you would, open us up with prayer.
Thank you, Councilman Casey Thomas, dear friend and neighbor. And I want to thank Southwest Division, see a lot of them here, and also DPD detectives, all the work that you've had to do. But above all, I want to say thank you, neighbors. I thank you for your prayers. We're going to pray together. The Lord wants to bless our neighborhood with peace and comfort. Let's pray. God of all comfort, Father of mercies, we come to you this evening and we ask comfort and consolation. We ask strength. There's a lot of weariness. Our wonderful people in blue have been overtime, overly busy. And Lord, this tragedy that occurred just a few steps outside of our eastern gate on Ison and Saddle Ridge, just a few steps beyond, we all weep together. You said, don't send the little children away. Don't forbid them. Let them come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Give us that childlike confidence in the future and faith. And above all, we ask comfort and wisdom how to know the next step to take, because we do want a safer neighborhood. We also want a neighborhood where there's respect, love, appreciation, watchfulness as well. And so, Lord, I thank you for all this diverse group that has come out here tonight. they've shown an interest in Southwest Dallas. We share that interest. Councilman Casey Thomas shares that interest. Thank you for his service, untiringly serving. I just thank you for right now that we have an opportunity to begin healing and look to the future for a better Dallas. We ask comfort upon that family that has lost so much. We ask direction and wisdom and order in their lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
About a week ago, I had reached out and I was exchanging some text messages with City Manager Chief of Staff. And when I can't get to him, I go to her. And she does a real good job of keeping me informed. And sometimes setting his appointments for him. And so I reached out to her and I said, we're going to have a meeting in my neighborhood. And I need the city manager here. Well, I didn't look at my calendar at the time, but because our city manager is hosting several tele-town hall, budget town hall meetings. One that started at 6 p.m. tonight. But I talked to him earlier. I said, we need you. And he said, I'll be here. And so this time, I want to introduce our city manager, someone on 115 Balls, Mr. T.C. Broadcast.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So let me just say this right off the bat. I know the councilman talked about he lives specifically in this area here. I am also a District 3 resident and proud to be one. And so when he requested that I come, I knew there was no way that I would not show up tonight. Actually, my phone is actually on in my car, so I didn't get disconnected from the meeting that I'll have to run back to. As I was sharing with my wife, who thought my only meeting tonight was virtual, I shared with her that I was coming to this meeting tonight to share and reflect on a lot of the sadness I know that this community has felt this last week. And I will tell you there are quite a few people in this community that feel the same way about this tragic event and the loss of this wonderful young man. As a parent, I can only imagine the type of pain that the family is going through, and that will be very difficult for them to deal with for many, many, many years. But I know this community, as we're sharing tonight, I would ask that you lift them up in prayer. Pray for those other people in your community, in this entire city, and hope that they never experience a situation like this. These types of meetings, as a city manager, I've attended too many of these types of moments where we come and just try to understand better how we move forward. How do we keep a positive perspective on what a city has to offer, what a community has to offer, how such things can happen amongst people who need to love and care for each other as neighbors. Well, I'll tell you, that particular tragedy shouldn't get us down, particularly to a point where we lose hope. The men and women of the police department cannot, in many cases, deal with and or prevent issues that just aren't linked. This is one of them. But I will tell you, us staying connected, keeping eyes on each other, praying for each other, reaching out and getting to know your neighbors and your surroundings will only allow us to prevent future things like this. So I would just say to you, as I said to the council members, and anyone who's asked, it's our job to reassure the community that the places that you live, the places that you go to are safe. We're going to work every day to try to do that. And I'm just hopeful that tonight's conversation, the information you receive, will not only allow you to go and share what the city of Dallas and DPD are doing at this point, but also share with them that there are times like these that we got to get closer together. And all the other noise that's going on out in the community and out in the world, in times like this, it just doesn't matter. It brings things into perspective. So I just hope tonight, in addition to some healing that I hope happens, and understanding that the city cares about you and how you feel in your community, cares about this family and their tragedy, that we want to find ways to make sure that we continue to partner with you, to allow you to come to us, to speak with us, to request other conversations like this on any issue that concerns you. I know the councilman is big on community engagement, and when he calls, I'll come. But I just want to say, again, I'm feeling very, very sad when I think about the events that occurred, but I do know that this community in the city of Dallas will continue to grow closer together. And hopefully we'll have less of these types of tragedies occur in the future. But when we do, we'll know how to bound together, pray for each other, pray for the family, and hope that one day we'll have a community where these types of activities, these actions don't happen. So thank you, and Councilman, I appreciate you inviting me out. And I look forward, one, to hearing a little bit of the conversation tonight as well, and then I know I've got to take off. So thank you so much. Be blessed. And Councilman, back in your hands.
Thank you. Once again, as I said, we're hurt. And because of that, I reached out to people I know who have experience with grief. And so I want to take a minute and I want to acknowledge them, and then I'm going to have one to come up. I'll save her for last. Ms. Keisha Livingston. If you would, just raise your hand. Volunteer to be here in our community tonight. Let's give her a round of applause. Ms. Rose Lewis. Thank you. Dealing with situations, challenges that people face, they chose to be here tonight for us. And then last but certainly not least, Dr. Tracy Brown. Tracy, you come up for me. I'm going to give Tracy the opportunity to say a few minutes, to say a few words. Not only did she say, hey, when and what time? She lives here. She lives here in this community, 5-6 minutes away from this great summit. And so she wanted to be here because she is us. One of the days that she's been here quite a while. So Dr. Brown, if you will say.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas, and thank you to all of our police officers and law enforcement agents that are here to support our community. As the councilman said, I am, first of all, one of you. I am a member of a community. I've lived in Mountain Creek for 24 years, and my son has grown up here and has gone to the schools in Duncanville and Dallas, and so I feel you and I'm with you, and trying to understand, where we are and how can we heal together. So I just want to, first of all, just so you know, I have been working with students for the past 27 years. I'm dating myself. And I work for Irving ISD as the Director of Counseling. I'm also a licensed professional counselor. But with all of that experience, I never get known the loss of our babies. They're ours to love and to protect. And so I just want you to just understand and know that when we lose one, we're all going through this process. And we have so many questions and so many questions to be answered. And so I just want to encourage you tonight that if you are feeling a sense of grief, if you're feeling that sense of hopelessness, anxiety, stress, fear, it's normal. So as a community, when we feel that, we find together, which is what we're doing now. But I also want to encourage you to start thinking about how it's affecting you. Look at how, what are you thinking about this? What are your feelings about it? I do want to encourage you to reach out. Do not suffer in silence. Find somebody to talk to and keep talking. Because that's the only way you heal is when you start dealing with those feelings and thoughts and start getting it out and giving it to someone that can help you walk through the process. So I won't take long, but I just wanted to come and encourage you to just continue to walk arm in arm together. We're going to get through this together. As Councilman said, when he called, I'm like, whatever you need, because I'm grieving too. I've hurt too. I have a son, like I said, who grew up in this community, and so I'm hurting right along with you, but we are going to do this together. We are going to do this together. So if you have kids at school and you're, trying to figure out what do we do, how do we handle this, what do I say, and so on and so forth, I do want to encourage you to find a counselor, whether it be the two amazing counselors over there or a school counselor in your child's school. Take your child to someone or you go to someone and talk, okay? And just continue to keep your head up, stay strong, and again, together we will make it through. So thank you, Councilman Thomas. You all have a great day.
What I want to do is and this is going to segue right into him. I want to acknowledge and allow each of you, because these individuals are on our front line in our neighborhood each and every day. If you are a crime watch chair in the Mountain Creek, Sugarberry Woods, Summit Park area, or a former crime watch chair, please stand. Please stand. Please stand. Now, let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to tell you why I asked you to give a round of applause. Because before I was on the council, I was crime watch sheriff of Mountain Vista 2. Okay? And there were days when we would have crime watch meetings, and the only people that was there was me, my two boys, and our NPO office. And we met monthly. So I wanted to make sure that we recognize our crime watch sheriffs. Second, you have been president of an HOA, a neighborhood association, in the Mountain Creek, Sugarberry Woods area. Please stand. You are or have been a president of an HOA, a neighborhood association. Please stand. Don't be ashamed, please proudly stand. We have an HOA or a neighborhood association. Now, this is going to segue right into the chief. For, I believe it was 2 years, we started, this was prior to COVID. We stopped because of COVID-19. We met right there in the month of Ferguson, and we had a quarterly crime watch and code meeting. How many of you knew about the meeting? Okay, it was posted on next door. Okay, it was posted on next door. Now, if you chose not to attend or wasn't able to make it, that's fine. That's fine. But the point I'm making is we have taken every effort, and I say we, because I'm a part of the neighborhood. I'm a council member. I represent you at City Hall, but I also live here. We have taken every effort over the past 3 years, because once we hit, trust me, I hear all about it. I hear about the young people that's pulling on door handles. I hear about the ones that's ringing the doorbells and running. I hear, people we don't recognize. Well, trust me, I hear all of it. Believe me. Okay? But when we don't show up, what does that say to the police department when they do? Okay? If it's not documented, it didn't happen. you are not calling 911 or 311, it did not happen. So, I'm taking the time to say this before I bring up Chief, because for 3 months in a row, if you were on those virtual meetings, raise your hand. If you were on the virtual crime watch and code meetings, raise your hand. If you knew about the meetings, raise your hand. I know we're not in church, but we got to Okay. For 3 months, we met virtually every single month. Because during the month of December, I heard it was off the chain in the neighborhood. And I said, you know what? We have gone long enough without meeting. Now, let me tell you why we stopped. And I said this during our last Zoom. I'm going to tell you why we stopped having a quarterly meeting. I said, because you who represent your neighborhood, your neighbors need to have time to come to your crime watch meeting. And we'll go back to the quarterly meeting. That makes sense? Yeah. So, it shouldn't, it often happens, but it shouldn't take tragedy for us to come together like this. It shouldn't take that. If we see something, we have to say something. However, I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe this can be the start of the true unification. And I've tried to do this for 6 years. Those who know me, in this room really know me, email me, text me, you know. I've tried to unify our neighborhood the entire time I've been on the campus. So hopefully this will be what launches that. Now here's a segue into the Chief. Once again, if you were on that last virtual crime watch and code meeting, raise your hand. If you were on that call, who was on that call? Come on. Chief Garcia. Chief had just got here. But me and him had about an hour conversation before he was officially on the clock. And I said, Chief, we're not meeting in person, but I need you to meet my neighbors because we are very far away from City Hall. He came on, he stayed at least 30 minutes, and he asked us every question anybody had to ask. And so, Chief, come on up. Now, I'm gonna see who can finish this sentence. Okay? I know you used to be a teacher. Chief, we want to police substation. Try it again. Police substation. I wanted you to hear from my neighbor. We want to police substation.
I've been here in the city of Dallas now almost 4 months. And I tell you what, I fall in love with the city. I fall in love with my police department.
And he's a Cowboy fan.
And I'm big Cowboy fan. Again, it's an honor to be here. You see myself, you see fellow men and women here because they care. Because I did not tell a single one of them to be here tonight. They did it because they care. You're all doing something collectively right, okay, when officers in their heart want to be here. All right, I'll say this. The events that were here, the trauma that you felt, does not go unnoticed. I've done this job for nearly 30 years, and when I got the call that day, I was shocked, and I was angry, okay? As a police officer, I was angry. As a father, I was angry, okay? So the trauma you feel, I can guarantee you, my men and women felt as well. That day, I'll tell you this, they have other responsibilities and other things that they should have been doing. They told the Major, we've got some assignments, but we got to get out to that neighborhood. We want to be visible in that neighborhood. That's your men and women right there. Because you matter to them. In a few moments, I'll have Lieutenant Wise come and give a brief update on where we're at with the case, but I'll tell you, you are not alone. We know how important our presence is to ensure that people perceive safety. We know the statistics, and we're going to work on all that. There's two things we need to work on. One, the statistics, and two, the feeling of feeling safe in your neighborhood. And I realize that we have to do that collectively and as a team together. And we're going to do it. We're going to do that because it's very easy to say that when I don't have to tell people they have to be places. Because they want to be here. Okay? Because they want to be here. Because they want to help. Because they want to get back. Let me tell you something. I think it was what, last Monday or Tuesday, council member? I mean, the passion of this man for about an hour on the phone talking about this community meeting that he needed to have, how important it would be that I be here so this community knew that we care. Absolutely. He had me at hello, but he kept talking to me for about 15 minutes. And the passion that this man has about this neighborhood, about this community, how important it was for us to be here, to grieve together, to mourn together, and to collectively see how we can move forward together. All right, we're excited. We're excited in a way to make sure that our community, we've been working all day. We had our first meeting at 9, and we got a lot of energy left. All right, because we're here for you. We're here for this entire city, and we know the areas that we need to be present. Okay? And it was a no-brainer to me when we start talking about how important this meeting was going to be, of us being able to have a conversation, get an update, know where we're at, and then more importantly, know where we're moving forward. No, you're not lost. Yes, this is further away from headquarters than I originally thought. A little bit longer than I had already planned when I left the office. But I tell you, this is what I love. Okay, I love about this city. I love the diversity. Okay, I love the community feel, and I love the fact that the police department feels a partnership with their city. And we're going to do this, and we're going to do this together. All right? Are we going to do this together? Yes. Now what? Come on. Are we going to do this together? Yes. Come up and we'll give a quick update, and then we'll.
How you guys doing? I'm sorry that we're gathering here for this tragic event that happened in your neighborhood. Like Chief mentioned, it breaks our hearts, our parents as well.
Talk up.
He is not a number to us. He is a little boy that needs justice. And it is my responsibility to see that through. It's the responsibility of my child abuse sergeant, Michael Vaughn, who's also here. I want to give him credit as well for coming out tonight because it's important to us. Cash is important to us. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What she said was.
But what I said was that Cash deserves justice. He is not a number to us. He is a little boy that was brutally taken from us in an awful way, tragic way. And so what I'm doing tonight is I want to try to answer some questions that you may have, clear up the misinformation and all the false information that was put out. And just try to put your mind at ease that we do have only one suspect. There's only been one suspect. I know that there was some rumors out before that there could have been a second one. Just know that most of this misinformation is coming from one source. And so it's my job to investigate every lead, every tip that comes in. Nothing is being ignored or overlooked. Everything that we get, we're looking at just to make sure, because our main objective is that Cash needs justice. His family needs justice. And that's what we're here to do. So if anybody, I think everybody's familiar with the story. Yes? No, go ahead.
Speak up.
I'll repeat the question when she said that.
They were talking about. They were talking about recasting and why can't you guys set up a program that counselors that we do and our area and talk to them instead of us going here, there, and everywhere. I would prefer to do this in our area, that somebody come out and we can come in and talk to them. Thank you.
Well, to answer your question, we can try to coordinate something like that, okay? This is the first time that I've had a community respond with such support for one of our cases. And so I've been over crimes against children for 5 years now, and this is the first time. And that speaks to your community and how close you are and what your hearts are like, that you want to come together and grieve together. So yes, Chief Garcia and I will be definitely meeting again and discussing that. And I'll give it to Councilmember Thomas, okay, and he can put out on next door.
Yeah.
So we're in uncharted waters. Let me just put it to you like that. But like I said, it speaks volumes of your heart. And so, yes.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, for a month my family lived in fear, and I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning after this gentleman threatened my family's life, okay? So that was a long time for me to be under that duress, to find out that this occurred as well. And you said it was a long drive out here. So imagine if I'm in fear for my life and I call an officer and it takes him a long time to come out here because he's not here, then what? Then I wait another month for what? For him to actually commit a murder? You know, I appreciate y'all being here and I love the work you do, okay? My brother is the Deputy Attorney General of the state of Texas, all right? I understand what it takes to be done, okay? And I appreciate everything. I appreciate what y'all do. I'm glad you're here, okay? But it doesn't take away the fact that I have lived at a heightened sense of awareness for a month in fear of my family having happened to them what occurred to this child. And I don't know what, you know, then I hear, okay, well, he was apprehended on the 27th. I called 911 multiple times. He lived down the street from me and was returned to that house.
We had him on video. We gave the video
you know, I don't,
a month ago.
The question inside of me is, you say you want to help and these are great words, okay?
How?
But how? Because this did happen. And it's not like it came out of nowhere. And I guess that's the question I'm asking is, why did it get to this point? Because I know everybody here is asking that question. Why did it get to a child losing his life before we have this presence here?
Because we've been calling.
That's it.
I'm sorry, because what?
We've been calling and showing video to this.
He was walking down our street. We called on Friday at 6:44 p.m. before that Saturday morning because he was walking down our street exposing himself. That's 7-8 hours before this occurred.
Yes. And a month before this occurred, video of him in our driveway, getting into our cars. We reported it. We turned in the video. Another video.
Not emotion.
Sorry.
So again, we're not talking from emotion. We're asking the question everybody wants to know. It's great that y'all are here and I love it. I appreciate it greatly.
Yes.
Don't mistake my concerns for anything other than, you know, I'm at my wit's end.
What can we do?
And how do we go from here? If somebody else comes down my street, threatens my family's life, am I in the same boat where I've got to sit up? I don't want any of my neighbors here down this way because a lot of them responded on next door saying they should take matters in their own hands. And I don't want that to happen. I was concerned for that child who was in my driveway threatening my family. My kids grew up here. I grew up and graduated Duncanville High School in 1992. I've been here forever. And most of the kids I know because I taught them in Duncanville baseball. Or they are friends of my sons. And so I look at mannerisms. I look at their face because that shows me the little boy they used to be. Then I can go talk to the parents and help them. But in this case, it was bigger than that. So what do I do the next time this happens? What?
Well, let me say this. And when I said, off of Boston Beach, so it's a little bit further than where your station is. So you do have a response that comes down, and they do a great job. I'll say this: we need to work. We need to continue to work together. And here's what I say, and why I say that is there's going to be times you're going to call the police, right? We're going to go out. We'll deal with the issue, but that doesn't mean that individuals aren't going to come back. We have to remain vigilant. There is no secret remedy where, unless someone does something extraordinary, where they're going to be taken from the community and not come back at some point.
Sure.
So the point I'm simply making is we need to continue just to be vigilant, and we need to practice teamwork together so we get that information and respond out as quickly as we can to take care of the issue. I've said this before, I don't point fingers at the rest of the criminal justice system. If we have to come back 20 times to take care of your problem, we're gonna come back 20 times to do it.
Right.
Okay, so we just need to continue to have that partnership to do that. And if there's issues, we are not perfect, but if there's issues that slip through the cracks that we need to work with, you have a team, you have majors, you have chiefs that will able to correct those problems.
And that, I guess that's what
And
my
they
question
came
is
out.
because the police officers that came out
Yeah,
got
they-
there 20, 30 minutes,
Yeah,
which
they
is
did
fine.
good.
They did
Yeah.
great when they got there.
Yeah.
But if the kids roam in the neighborhood, am I supposed to hold on to them for that 20 or 30 minutes? Because they say, even when they come out, we want to help you, but we can't do anything unless we catch them in the act. So then he's continuing to roam in the neighborhood. He's continuing to roam the neighborhood over and over again. And we call over and over again. Y'all do your best to try to do what you can to help stop him, but because there's nobody that's 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away, you won't catch him. So that's the question I think I want to answer, is how do we get to that point to where we can work together? Because we were trying to stay vigilant.
Well, you said you had cameras, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, that's helpful. I'm not quite sure what conversation you had with the officers that responded. If you have evidence of wrongdoing, then that's something we could use. Absolutely.
Okay.
And so I don't know in your particular case what occurred, but if there's evidence that we can use on a crime that happened, we can't do anything unless we catch him in the act. It depends on what occurs, but that's not necessarily accurate, right? So we need to know that. And now, especially if we have these meetings, this is information that we take back to the station with regards to areas that we have. It'd be great to know where there's video surveillance, who's got cameras, where can we work together so that we know if something happens, we know to go here because we know that we may find some evidence there to help us with the crime.
And I know I worked with Detective Erzamina. Is that how you say it? Is that right? And he's helped me a great deal. But it's, again, it got to this point. So I don't.
What do we do?
I don't know. I've got cameras, like you said, get surveillance. I've got those. I called the police. So I can't stay up till 5:30 every morning. I got to go to work, and that's what I was doing.
And that's what we
so
did.
what do we do to work with you in this case so it doesn't happen again?
They got to keep calling us. You have to keep calling us, and we'll respond. You have to keep calling us. Unfortunately, I wish we could put an officer in every neighborhood in the city of Dallas.
Sure, I understand.
But we can't do that.
I know, yeah.
And so we triage calls as they come in, but you got to keep calling us for a couple of reasons. Number one, so that we know and we respond out. And number two, where we know where we may need more officers and more resources. Okay, so that's how we can help each other out from that perspective. But in particular, when crimes occur, you have to call us. If it's something that we have to take back to our officers, as to how to be more vigilant, as to be how to be more trauma informed when things occur, as to how to handle investigations. Because again, we're not perfect. We're very busy from time to time. Then those are things that we can take back from a training perspective. But I tell you what I've seen since I've been here has not been a matter of laziness with the men and women of this police department.
Oh no, not at all. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Let's help
Yeah.
so that we can guide.
But that's what I'm asking is what more do we need to do so that we're doing it the right way?
Hold on to him? Literally?
No,
Because-
don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that.
So, what?
Call us and we'll respond.
Okay.
I know that's right.
I was the lady that made the phone call. I was the lady that found cash and made the phone call to 911.
She was the lady that made the 911 call.
I was the lady that made the 911 call. I found cash and called 911. What I was going to say is, I do thank the Dallas Police Department because prior to that, I had been seeing them kind of in the back of here, kind of patrolling the area, just sitting in the back of here. After that happened, I noticed I instilled to this day. I have been traumatized. I'm afraid. I have a 3-year-old. when my 3-year-old is asleep, I'm running in the room trying to make sure she's still there. So it's really traumatizing to see that. And I'm afraid. I am an educator. I'm a teacher specialist at Duncanville ISD. So I live in the area. I'm not a buyer, I'm renting, and I thank the good Lord that I'm not buying. But all I'm saying is I don't feel safe, and it's nothing that you guys are not doing. I've seen you guys even prior to this happening. I've seen you there, and even after it's happening, I've seen you even on my street. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just this situation, I just don't feel safe, you know, with what happened.
And I knew I was hoping that you would be here, and that's why I have these ladies that are here. So if you will stay around, and I don't know how long they can stay, but you know, maybe at least one can stay and they can talk with you, get your information, and help you, you know, and you're not alone. A lot of other people feel the same thing you feel. And thank you for being here and having the courage to stand up and say what you said.
Amen.
I just want to say that I sympathize with you, ma'am, and I thank you all for your service and everything that you do. I personally...
If you don't mind, come on up. We have a mic now.
A couple years ago, I actually live in this neighborhood down the street,
Probably hold it closer to you.
1 block away from what happened, and I had dealings with those two, with the boy and his brother. They jumped my son a couple years ago, and we had to make a police report because my husband wanted to go and get them. But they're kids, so I called after I made the police report because I didn't hear anything from anyone, and I just never heard anything. When I called, they was like, so, you know, I did my part too, and I just don't know. My car was broken into, some stuff was stolen. I feel like it was those kids too. I've installed cameras, so I watch them all night. Like them, I'm up all night, watching, hoping nothing happens. I just don't feel safe either, but I am fine. I've been here for 11 years. So I've noticed the presence in the neighborhood now. It feels good. I just want to say I'm going to keep my eyes open. And I sympathize with the family and with the lady that found them. And thank you for calling the police. Yes. Thank
you. I want to thank the councilman for I want to thank the councilman for putting this together, told him this Saturday at another meeting to allow us to vent, to allow us to have some type of input, and to re-emphasize some things. Thank you all for being here, for us, the men and women in blue. I'll just get down to some grassroots as far as my concerns and my questions. We have, as a community, put out for many, many years that we like a little respect about having at least this number of officers patrolling daily somewhere in our area. So not just the community, but to see them more so. From many of us, our viewpoint is that we aren't that far from downtown. You all are that far from us. We know where downtown is, you all know where we are. Whenever I encounter a police or squad car in my neighborhood, I stop them, I thank them for being there, but I also say, hey, I wish you guys would come through every day. I know you have other priorities, so my main question, and I'll leave it at that, are we a priority out here? Not just the sugar and butter and the honey on top, but for statistics show crime is increasing in this area. We've got major businesses all over Dallas. We work somewhere. We raise our families right here. We're good, upstanding citizens. We have given the information. We have followed the rules, and as that gentleman said earlier, eventually, you know, you have to take something in your own hands. So we are all prepared, but everybody wants to be safe and just allow the kids to run up and down the street with some assurance. I rarely see a police officer unless there is either the accidents all day long on Clark and Wheatland, or whether there is some type of crime. That's when I see at least this many officers in our area. So this is a great area, not just the community, the whole southwest area. We want to know that you guys know we are here and that you give us some respect and put some more officers over here daily so that we don't have to take things into our own hands too, because we are prepared.
Thank you guys for being here and thank you for your service. And I want to piggyback on what the gentleman just said. My question to you is, are we really going to get a substation here? I can't sleep. That incident was Illinois, that body was found less than 30 yards from my house. I have a daughter. I am afraid. I check on her every night, at least 5 or 6 times a night. I'm not even sleeping. Are we going to get a substation? I want the truth, and we really need it over here. Please answer the question.
The substation.
Yes. Do you have the budget to do that? I mean,
that's what it depends on.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to your question.
Okay.
As to whether or not when that would happen.
Okay.
Again, you know, large city.
Yes.
Lot of area.
Right. I'm a native. I get
We're
it.
going to make sure that that we're in a position to respond as quickly as possible.
Okay.
If the substation is in the cards, it's something that we can afford as a city, it's something we'll definitely get to.
Okay.
Right now, we're going to concentrate on our response time, making sure that we can get out here as quickly as possible to the current station that we have.
I know you guys are trying, but 20 to 30 minutes, a lot can happen in that time. That's a long time, especially for me and my young daughter. That's a long time. I'm licensed to carry, but I don't ever want to have to use it. But I will if I have to. I'm a mom, so that's first. So I just want you guys to know that. Thank you.
I'm along with many people, been out here a long time. I've lived here since 1990. And I've seen a lot of ups and downs out here. There were times when we had a dedicated patrol for 435 and a dedicated patrol for 436. They never left the area. And that was a wonderful time when we were out here. We knew our officers. We felt better, we felt safer. You say, oh, well, we're a neighborhood. No, we're 20,000 people out here in the 2 weeks almost. Duncanville's at 39. They run 5 officers, patrols daily, and the supervisor for not quite twice our size. But yet we have no one dedicated here. When we were talking about a substation, a storefront would work. We got plenty of empty warehouses. There's a lot of commercial real estate available for a storefront. We're used to having things far away. Our post office? Holden. North of Illinois. Cedar Hill's closer, Duncanville's closer, Grand Prairie's closer. Duncanville Police is 5 minutes away, but they can't cross the line. 20 minutes, 40 minutes. One day, look, the guy just posted, he looked online, where's the beat 435? It's on 7th Street. It can't happen out here. We are so isolated out here. There was once under City Councilman Bob Stimson, who led the Oak Cliff secession movement. There was the Mountain Creek Wood Sugarberry secession movement. Kind of torqued him a little bit, but he didn't see the humor in it with what he did. But people felt we don't get the services we need out here. So we're asking you to look at this a little differently than, oh, you're at Keller and Inferno Dallas. You got to drive miles to get here. And it can take a long time for responses. And so we want you to look at it differently and look at dedicating officers out here. If you can't do that, do an ILA, interlocal agreement with Duncanville. Put a few $100,000 so that we can at least have their police officers control the road. Maybe we do it for the police. I don't know. Because we need solutions. We need a police presence. because without it, people can do what they want freely and feel there's no repercussions. Thank you.
Previous chiefs have frowned on storefronts or frowned on substations. And so I believe we can work together and we can bring them back out again and see what that estimate is. And so we can be able to move the ball forward on that. Now, fortunately, things are getting better, things are opening back up. So I'm letting you know right now, making an announcement. Okay, right after we take our recess in July, we will have our next quarterly code and crime watch meeting. If you are not getting our emails, and you would like to get the emails from our office before you leave, see Yolanda Miller. Yolanda is my secretary. She does a phenomenal job. She's doing double duty because those you know been around know Chris. Okay, I would have called him if he was here, but he's on vacation. But see Yolanda, let her know. She'll put a star by your name. That way you can get the emails. Plus, I post it on Nextdoor. But I don't want anyone to say I did not know. As a matter of fact, Yolanda knows me. Before we leave, I'm gonna give you a date tonight for our next meeting. That way, you know, you'll know. So I just wanted to make that point. One last question. If you completed the census, raise your hand. If you completed the census. Okay. Let me tell you why that's important. One, for 2 years, my job was being chair of the complete count committee for the city of Dallas to make sure everybody was counted. We're getting ready to do redistricting. And if you have lived here less than 10 years, raise your hand. If you've lived here less than 10 years. For that rec center they had in North Dallas, 500 people showed up at City Hall.
Right.
And 5 people stood up and spoke. But when that person came to the mic, they said, everybody who's with me, stand up. And they filled City Hall. And you're going to have to show up every single Wednesday. Because I can tell you right now, I know the numbers. For the type of substation you want, it's going to cost $2 million. $2 billion. In some units room, it's not the first time you heard me say that. If you want that bond to pass, you're going to have to show up. I will put my neck on the line and I will vote for it. But I got to get 8 votes to get anything done in City Hall. And in my 6 years, I've lost 2 votes. I don't plan on losing them. Right? Okay.
Mine's a 2-part question. Was Darian Brown on an ankle monitor? And if so, what happens on your end when they're breaking curfew, like 4 in the morning?
So Darian Brown was not wearing an ankle monitor. He had 1 previous arrest for evading, and he was released on a personal bond. Okay, so the rumor out there that he had on his ankle monitor, that's just bad information. And your second question was about curfew? Oh, well, that goes back to the courts and we're notified, okay? But that doesn't apply in this case.
Well, she just answered, she just asked the question because it was rumored that he did have an ankle monitor, so it's like, how did he do all of this? So, he did not. Okay, I want to thank all the police officers, the chief, I see you on TV all the time. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I just want to say, I live in Summit Park, so some of those meetings, I go to the HOA meetings in Summit Park. But I definitely need to get more involved. The reason why I moved in this area 3 years ago, and I did buy a home, because I felt safe. And over the last 3 years, it's amazing how, thank next door, because I wouldn't even know what's going on. I live by myself. I'm not too fearful because I always pray for protection for God, to tell you the truth, because things are happening everywhere. You can move, but don't mean it won't happen. That's right. But it really hit close home to me, because I know that young lady, Antoinette. She graduated with my daughter, Kanisha Versi. Antoinette, she went to my home when she was a little girl. And when I heard the story, I thought Saturday morning it was raining really hard. You might not would have been out walking that day, and that little boy would have been laying there. So when you was meant to be there. Somebody had to be there and you were the chosen one. It was raining pretty hard Saturday morning, so I thought about the little boy. I was like, what if nobody decided to him? How long would he lay there? So, you know, thank God that you were there for him. And you did what you could, get the assistance. But that was my one other question. I understand that he was charged with kidnapping and theft. Burglary. But what about murder?
Okay, so at this time we've charged Brown with burglary. I'm sorry. At this time, we've charged him with burglary and kidnapping. And the reason why we haven't charged him with capital murder yet is we're waiting on forensics from the evidence. Once that comes in, we can upgrade and charge him with capital murder. Okay? But at that time, those were the offenses that we could put him in jail right then for. Okay? I'm sure you've all seen that video that was released, and as horrific as that is, and I'm sorry for that. If there was any way I could have stopped that video from being released, I would have spared you, because that adds to your fear. That adds to just the trauma that you're talking about. And I pray with my detectives daily who see that stuff every day, and so I can't imagine that you guys were exposed to that as well. And so I'm sorry that we couldn't protect you in that way. Okay, but just know we have him in jail. As soon as we get the evidence back from Swiss, I can update the charges. Okay, so it's just a matter of time. That's where we are on that. No. He's got $750,000 for each charge. Okay, so he's not getting out. I'm sorry? Not at this time. There's false information out there. Remember, there's one source that keeps talking. Okay?
It's not on.
So yes, to answer your question, we were outraged. Okay? I did call our assistant prosecutor and I said, what can I charge her with? All right, so we felt the outrage as well, and that goes back to you guys being exposed to that trauma, and I can't stop it.
Hold on. I understand your passion. I understand. I want to respect the people that line up. What can be done? He last and said, I'm doing everything to try everything to do it. Hold on. I understand your passion. Okay?
But I just want to make sure that you understand that same outrage and disgust that you're feeling talking about that, we all felt it as well. Okay? Yes.
Okay, I'm kind of hoarse, so can you hear me? Okay, so I have just a couple questions. First one is, did they find out how he got into the house? Okay, so there wasn't an actual home alone that was actually set that would go off on entry. Okay. Second one is, when he was arrested in March, all the crimes that have already been reported up until that point, was he not connected with them? Like when he was released, there was nothing else he could have been charged with based on what was already called in and reported on him, I guess? Sorry. So,
you're asking that all the previous officers, was he not linked?
Right, when he was released in March. He was released in March, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I need to clarify, he was not actually arrested per se for a criminal offense. He was what we call takeout. It means that he was having a mental episode, and so they took him to Parkland instead of just there.
That's what the March situation was. Okay, and then my last question, I guess, would be the biological mother. They say there was proof that she was actively looking for her kids during the time that the kids were with the other guardian or whoever. Okay, so why were they able to find the mother so quickly at this point in time? Like, why couldn't they find the mother as quick? You know what I'm trying to say? I'm sorry.
All right, let me explain something. CPS is a separate agency from the police department, okay? So when this dad took off with these boys back in December, in January she's trying to get visitation for her kids, he quit responding to her. She immediately called CPS, and because there wasn't a formal custody arrangement signed by a judge, CPS said there's nothing we can do to help you. He is a biological biological father, and he has just as much right to the boys as you do. The only way to change that is to take him to court. In order to take him to court and serve him, she had to find him first. So now you start to see and put in the pieces of what this family has gone through. So for 4 months, she's looking for him.
So CPS got involved now, and that's how
No, CPS was involved when she contacted them in January.
Just tell us the facts as you know them of this case. That's what I came here tonight. I would just like to know the facts as you know them from the beginning.
All right, so the facts are that Darian Brown broke into this house at 4:53. He approached the crib, as we've already stated, you guys seen the videos. 2 little boys were sleeping in this crib. Everybody else in the house was on the other side of the house, and they were all asleep. As you well know, this family's kind of active at night, so they stayed up all night and they were sleeping in late. Darian broke in, took cash, and removed him from the house. So at some point in time, I don't know the exact time, he committed a heinous act against this little boy. And then he went back for the second one at 7:30, roughly. The only thing, God's grace, saved Carter, and then he got spooked and he left the house. So because this woman had a camera in the boy's room, I'm able to charge him. Okay, there is no doubt who took him. And as soon as I get the lab report back, there'll be no doubt who killed him. Okay, and so there's no second suspect. We don't know the motive for this. I wish I knew. But there's no way that we can explain such an evil act. And so I'm sorry that you're scared. I'm sorry that you're worried for your kids. I worry for mine. And I pray for them. So just like you just know that each and every one of you count to us. These men and women sitting over here, you count. And I know that you seem like you're so far away from us, but you matter. And Chief Garcia doesn't want you to worry and stay up until 5:30 because you don't feel safe to go to sleep. That's not the community he wants his police department to have. And so that's where we are at this point. As soon as I get those lab test results back, we can update and go further.
Look
at your face.
What I want to say is this, and it's on one reason why I took the mic. If you're on next door and you see my comments, what I did was I refuted the things that were not true, but I didn't go any further. And I kept saying, show up tonight. Show up tonight. Because I knew, I didn't want to get myself in trouble. I didn't know what I could say. But she knows what she can say. And so everything she said, I've been dealing with. The fact that he went back, that messed with me right there. The fact that he went back, but just think he wouldn't have been spooked. We would have had a whole nother type of situation here in the neighborhood. And so I thank you for coming out. I thank you for asking that question, because now, that's why I talk about Ron Taylor and that. Now you know everything I know. Okay? So, come on.
Mine is a policy question. But before I ask the question, I've got to give you some background. The suspect that you have in custody currently, I know I have met him intimately well. He broke into my house and we scuffled. But the policy question is, if an officer is on another call that is a call where there is no threat, what is the policy if they get another call where there is a threat? That's what happened with me, and that was the question I asked. And the answer I was given was, they are to finish the call before they answer the next call. And I said to the officer I was speaking to, although it was on the call, and answered the call where I was under threat and danger.
Yeah. newlywed. Someone did reach out to me and gave me heads up of what was going on in the neighborhood. So I immediately called Councilman Thomas to ask him if he could give me the location so I can send staff out. So today I have one of my supervisors here with me, and I have the caseworker, Daniel Ware, here with me. And also my assistant director is here, he had to step out. But we immediately went out to several different addresses to verify what was going on at the locations. Only one address was confirmed as running an illegal boarding home. Since then, I have reached out to the owner of the property. The individual that's been running the illegal location has received application now where she is registering the property. Once she registers her property, we will do a full inspection of the property. When I say a full inspection, that's why I brought some of our brochures to give you a little update of what the boarding home department is made of. Because we realize a lot of people don't realize that there's a boarding home department within the city of Dallas. So that's why I reached out to Councilman Thomas to say, hey, let us go out there and find out. Now, one of the locations two of the locations that he gave us, one was the actual location of where the little boy was residing. That location is not the illegal boarding home. The second location was a family's home. That family is the one that actually said, no, you need to go right here. So the location, which we post our boarding homes, licensed boarding homes on the City of Dallas website, but the location is 7418 Boysenberry. Now, if that's not the location that you're speaking of, then after the meeting, or if you want to say it out loud, give us the address, and we will go to that location. But right now, the location that we went to was 7418 Boysenberry. That is an illegal boarding home. That right now, they have 10 days to bring that property into compliance. There is 2 licensed locations that's in your area, but they're licensed through the state. And those locations is 8610 Granville and 8441 Roman Way. Those 2 locations are licensed through the state. What I'm asking you all to do today is you all suspect that there's a location that has multiple people living in it that are non-related and they're renting individual rooms, please see myself. Misty, could you stand up, see Misty or Dan after the meeting and give us those locations. The 2 that are licensed by the state is 8610 Granville Avenue and 8441 Roman Way. They are licensed by the state. The one that's not licensed is 7418 Boysenberry. So if it's some other locations that you are aware of, because this individual wanted to know how we got her address, and she did state that it's 3 more in the area. She refused to give me the address. So I'm counting on you all to give me these locations, because we will immediately go out and investigate them. So does anyone have any questions for me?
Question for Cole.
Yes, and I also put the business card on at the front, but my office number is 214-671-0450. That's it right now. 214-671-0450.
So mine was more directed towards everyone else. You know, we get fined by code compliance because our fence is messed up. This is broken, that's broken. Why can't we send code compliance there? That house looks pretty run down, in my opinion.
What's the address? I think that's what the issue is.
We're cash. Well, wherever the guardian lived. The guardian. No, I'm not asking if it's boarding. I'm asking about, can we get code compliance so that they can fix that house, because the rest of us fix when code compliance comes around.
Yes, we're aware of the violations of that home, and those violations will be addressed at that home. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Well, right now, I do not know the individuals that's living there. I do know there are 7 unrelated individuals living there. Once we go in to do a full inspection, that's what our caseworker. Well, I can tell you the ages of the individuals that's living there. The youngest person is 48 and the oldest is 72. So they're seniors that live. I think the youngest one is 48.
Remember, she said they're going to do a full investigation. Yes. 10 days to apply. They're going to do a full investigation.
And what our caseworker does is when he go inside of the home, he speaks with every resident there, because when they register with our department, we have to have a file on every person that's living in the home. Okay? Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Bring the mic so everybody can hear.
So regarding boarding houses, and there are a lot of people in there that don't know each other, so who's telling them that that's the place that they should go to get someplace to live? Where is that listed?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. Well, what we're doing now is we're networking with a lot of the hospitals, the homeless shelter, Metro Care, because we're finding out that a lot of them, because these individuals that's running these homes, they're reaching out through Facebook, through different type of advertising to say, hey, I'm running a home. And that's how they're getting people referred to their home. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to reach out to a lot of these organizations to say, hey, here is a copy of our licensed boarding home list. Please do not send anyone to any home that's not licensed. Monthly, I send out a list to certain organizations. Our license list is on the City of Dallas website under code compliance boarding homes. You can go in and see the licensed boarding homes. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people out here that this is a moneymaker for them. So a lot of these homes are illegal. We do not know about it until you all call us to let us know. And you can call me. Okay, you can call me or dial 311, give them the address, and you can come to us. That's how we find out about fraud. Because we just can't go proactively and knock on doors or call you bad. You say, why are you knocking at my door? So we rely on you all to reach out to us, then we can find out.
What does it take to get this kind of license revoked?
Ooh, to get it revoked, it's to get it It takes a lot to get the license revoked. Right now, believe me, I've been in boarding homes now for a year, but this young man has been in boarding homes since they started in 2012, and he's getting good history.
So, when we first started this, none of the homes in Dallas were licensed. Can everybody hear me okay? Speak up. Okay. Sorry. When we first started this, none of the homes in Dallas were licensed. And in 2012, we started this program, and they started becoming
So your question is, how do we revoke a license? Usually what we do is we drive people crazy to the point where
end up closing before we revoke their license. We do that through a number of ways. We write them citations if there's a lot of structural damage in the house. We report cases of abuse, neglect, and exploitation to Adult Protective Services. And sometimes we've even, assisted residents to find other locations, although we don't relocate them ourselves. That's usually what happens in the process. But if it does come to the point where we will close a property, it will be through the city attorney's office. It won't be through code. It will be escalated on up to the city attorney's office.
What happens if they don't pay their citations?
If they don't pay their citations, they will no longer be operating as a boarding home. Okay. Because that's one thing with getting a license from a boarding home. We do a criminal background check on the operators that's running the facility, and they cannot have any outstanding citations. So if they have outstanding citations, guess what? They cannot get a license. If they have a criminal record, depending on how many years, they will not be able to run a facility. Anyone that they say are employed at the boarding home has to have a criminal background check done on them also. So we do a thorough check on the locations. Any more questions?
Thank you. Let's give it up for Opal. Lieutenant, come on up and you can go ahead and answer the question about forensics. How long it takes to get good.
Alright, so this one asked me about how long it takes for evidence. We're looking at 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not going to disclose that. I'm not going to talk about that. Okay?
Hold on. Wait. I just want her to answer the forensic question. I think everybody
I'm not, my name is Frank, so I'm not an old face. I have been to police meetings several times. And one question I have, I think the last meeting I attended was based on some of the faces I've seen before. Looking at next door, all the crimes are basically happening in the middle of the night or late in the evening. And if you are part of next door, you hear all the complaints. And people, we got to continue to complain. But the thing about it, what I had addressed the last time I met with the officers, can we lease? I know about the substation, I've been there, heard that several times, but can we at least get 2 officers? Because the Memorial Day is coming up, gunshots and racing, all that's going to be, I'm going to hear. And we call these guys, more likely you're not going to get through it. I'm aware of that. But I want to see if possible, if you could at least 2 cars to patrol this neighborhood until you get the substation, at least 2 cars, one at night, graveyard, one in the day, even one is unmarked. Because see, these guys, they're so swift, they see you driving by, they're going to wait for you to leave, and they're going to commit the crime. So if it's in an unmarked car, they won't see you. But I'm just saying, is it possible that, I've heard a lot, and so many others, can we get 2? Just 2. I know you're short-handed, but just 2 officers. One for the day, one for the night. And that's pretty much, if they had someone there, we probably wouldn't have as much crime as we have in this area.
I'm going to say one thing. Listen, I'm a straight up guy. And what I'm going to say by that is I'm not going to tell you something that I think you want to hear only to come back in 6 months and tell you, you know what, that's not what we can do. I can't guarantee exactly where officers need to be. The resources of the Southwest Station, and they have a great responsibility to the entire area Southwest. And so as those calls come, I can guarantee you that they're listening. Okay, and I can guarantee you that they're listening about how much you need the presence. But I don't think it's fair to you, okay, or to my men and women for me to tell you something that is not going to necessarily happen, only for you to something that I think you're going to want to hear. But I can tell you that we're listening, that we're hearing, so that we can, when we can be here, we know that we need to have our presence here, and we need to have our presence felt. But we have a great responsibility in the Southwest. We need to grow as a police department, there's no question. The coupling with a substation, we need the men and women to fill that substation. So it's not simply the building. So we need to grow responsibly, but we need to grow in both those areas. And I'm sure, particularly with the leadership you have, that we will work in that direction. But thank you for your question. Right now, we're in the process of selecting. This is where we're at with that. But I can guarantee you, whoever you get is going to work hard. That I can promise you.
My question is for the Lieutenant. I wanted to know if Darian Brown knew that family. Were they in any way friends or outside of the older son that lived in the house?
Yes, Darian knew the mother and he knew Cameron, the 18-year-old. They were friends and went to school together. So that's the connection between that family and Brown. Hello. Yes, ma'am.
What did she say?
I'm going to say to the police department, I really appreciate you guys. We had a situation that didn't have anything to do with a situation like this. My husband was going to church one morning, 7:30 in the morning. He gets in the car, someone come out of nowhere and said the car with him. And so pulling her clothes down. My husband came, and he ran back to the house and said, hey, there's a lady out there that pulled her pants down. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm asleep. Because ain't nobody that stupid to get in my BMW. And so when I went out there, she was sitting in the car. I called the police and told them that I had a 9mm gun. And if they didn't get there before I got to my car, they had to call ambulance. And the police showed up. But they showed up within 10 to 15 minutes. It seemed like it was less than that. But they did show up. They took care of the problem. And this girl parked her car. We live in a circle. We're like the third house before you go down in a circle. She was on something. And she walked her car down in a circle. And she seemed like it's like she was waiting on somebody to come out so she can try to show her boobs and everything. And my husband, he panicked. And I said, well, I better call 911 because I'm going to kill her. That's the first thing that went on my mind. I dialed 911. This lady had my dad, I was taking care of my dad. She went in there and tried to get in bed with my elderly father. She was on something. And so she did. My father said, he woke up. And he looked up and my father said, did y'all buy me a hooker? My father was 74, disabled. He thought that we had bought him a hooker. And my husband said, no, we didn't buy you a hooker. She just worked. Right now. Well, the police is there. Before I busted her in the head. But I thank God that they showed up when they did because I wasn't thinking straight. My thought was to beat the H out of her.
Okay, come on.
All right, thank you. All right.
Let's see your back.
The big report things. Thank
during the big snowstorm, I tried to report a fire alarm for 911 and was put on hold 3 or 4 times. In the end, I actually walked to the fire station and knocked on the door, and I still couldn't get any attention from anybody. And that's pretty scary. So I'm just wondering if anything's being done to improve that situation.
Sorry, I got a little emotional here. So I was telling myself all day long that I was going to stick to my brain and not my heart. Again, I want to thank you guys, okay? Nothing I said is against any of that, all right? Now, this area has grown exponentially over the past 30 years, right? But the police presence has gone down. So when we talk about things need to grow, things need to be, yes, and we do what we can here as a community. But how do we get the action on the police side? Because I know y'all's hands are tied too, because there's a budget. You can't have overtime in this area, things of that nature. I don't know if that's true, but I know that the budget was cut, and I know that I'm the park's not going to see those budget numbers. Okay? So how do we get, because the new neighborhoods that are being built, the new apartments that are being built, the fact that the dark line runs through our neighborhood, how do we get the police presence increased? Do we need to, I mean, our city manager left, didn't hear any of our concerns here that we have now, but he did say he wanted to hear them later in form. So I hope that's the truth. But how do we get that? How do we get to that point? Is there somebody else we need to petition? How do we help you get out there?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Well, a couple things. Number one, through the process, our department's authorized staffing levels have gone down in the last few years by a few hundred officers. Okay, so when I say we need to grow, we need to grow responsibly, but we need to grow. That's a reality, and so I can't explain what our issues are without telling you facts, and that's a fact. So we need to grow. There's no question about it. Having said that, my job as your police chief and my staff and my men and women have a job to do, regardless what we got. We got to do the best we can. And although I give autonomy to the command and stations to do what they can do with their staffing levels, what I want to do is I want to call the enrollment up here to kind of go over, instead of a 64,000 foot view, go over specifically what's going on in the presence in your area and how we're deploying officers in this particular area and what we have been doing historically.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Ravan. I am the 3rd Watch Commander at Southwest Patrol. Primarily work between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. So when you guys are laying your head down, sometimes I end up going home about 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been in and around the area through just being on the department. This is my 4th time being here as a sergeant, twice as a sergeant, now the 2nd time as a lieutenant. So when I first came down here, this area is 436 speed. The gentleman talked about it earlier. The other gentleman, he also said something about 435 speed. So during that time, I've known Councilman Thomas for 25 years has it been. I'm only 28. But that being the case, I've grown around, I've seen a lot of growth in your neighborhood. I've seen the good. This is the good. I've seen the bad. Unfortunately, I've been here for homicides. I've gotten, people breaking into your houses. I've gotten robbery suspects. I was here when, y'all remember when everybody was going over to the Sonic when that was first getting built, and we're spending time back and forth. But let me just tell you real quick, what you see, what we do have a 2-man, basically one car with two officers in it. During that time, we also had what you call covert elements. Those are officers that are, the gentleman asked about it earlier, but the car that's just basically an undercover car, it's a covert car. Just because you don't see us doesn't mean that we're not here. Just because you don't call us doesn't necessarily mean that we're not here. We've been here. You may not have seen us. Sometimes you can only see when you see the black and white squad car. Y'all remember we used to have the white car with the blue stripe? Yep. Right? That car was always out there. So they'll answer a call. The only time that they're authorized, or I'll tell them myself, or what I tell my major, when they can leave, is if we have a party going, like if we have a shooting or a robbery, that's on the other side of 20. But for the majority of part, they will be in and around the area. They'll be at the library. They'll be down, up and down, I just lost my train of thought. Going back to the new Exxon that we put out here, all the way down to, we do a lot of work with Cedar Hill. Everybody knows about the intersection right there at Clark and Mountain Creek Parkway. Yeah. There's a Family Dollar right there. That attracts everybody from the other side of Clark on Duncanville, up here from Duncanville, no disrespect. But those folks come over, we service the Duncanville side. If they have a wreck going northbound, that's going to be on Duncanville. If you see more police in that area, what's going to happen, we'll be out here, but we will see everything. Now, we'll have to prioritize everything that we do because I only have 2 or 3 officers out here. So we have to prioritize the types of calls that we're going to address. So yes, we may have to handle your call because when you call us or you flag us down, it's the most important time that you will call us. Not everybody, and I'm sure everybody will do it at some point, not everybody always calls the police just to give us milk and cookies or give us a cup of coffee. Because I can tell you, being way out here late at night, there's nowhere to get coffee. But I will tell you this, if you call and you tell us you have an issue, we'll at least address it. We have NPO, your neighborhood police officers. If you have an address, if you have something that needs to be addressed, let us know. We are a data-driven organization, meaning if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen. There's a lot of times that some people say, you know what, I don't want to get that person in trouble. We understand that. We have some discretion, not a lot. But the more police show up, the more things will happen. We will work with you. We want you to get involved with your organizations. Get involved with your HOAs. Get involved with your crime watches so we know what's going on. All right? Again, my name is Lieutenant Roman. I'm in Southwest Patrol. If you ever have any questions, either just reach out to us at Southwest or I'll be hanging out and talk to you later.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the police department. Most of you all know who I am. Most of you know me because of Ivan Gunter. I am known as Ivan Gunter, Sergeant Ivan Gunter's sister-in-law. And I also care where you all are at on Illinois. It's quite a bit. First of all, I want to let you know I am a crime watch chairperson. I have been in it for 15 years now. I was 30 years in Fort Worth. I was trained by Chief Wendell when he was here. First of all, I want to give you all your props. I appreciate everything you do. But most of all, I want to let you all know the police department can't do it by themselves. That's right. We need, when I first moved to Dallas from Fort Worth, we started crime watching. They didn't know a lot about crime watching. I tried to tell my neighborhood and help them get to know about crime watching. At one time, we had people that were patrolling my neighborhood. My husband and I patrol our neighborhood with the Summit Park each and every night. We need people to come forth in our neighborhood and help us patrol our neighborhood. Like I said, the police department cannot do this by themselves. I know that we're showing help, but still, we can reach out and help them. And I would like for some of y'all to volunteer. You're perfectly welcome to come. We're fixing to start back having our crime watch meeting at the library. I'm perfectly, any neighborhood that wants to come, you're perfectly welcome. I will post it on Next Door Neighbor and let you know when we will start back having our crime watch meeting. Crime watch is very important to me. I have quite a few people in my family that is on the police force. As a matter of fact, Chief Brown is my cousin. Okay? Also, like I say, Ivan Gunter is my brother-in-law. So I'm asking each and every one, let's do our part to help our police department because they cannot do it by themselves. And Chief Gordon, I admire you and thank you so much. Keep up your good work because if you don't, most of them that know me, they'll say, oh, you want to talk to Ivan.
Been here about 2 hours, 15 minutes, and so I want to respect your time. Thank you for being on time. hour and a half, I'm sorry. About an hour and a half, we start at 6:30. So I want to respect your time. I know it wasn't the ambulance, but I want to thank Kim. Now, me and Kim have had a phone, man, I did it. You go next door, no. But we are united in making sure that this area is safe. And so let's give it up to Kim.
Well, you know, I'll tell you this, from a short-term perspective, I'd love to have a conversation with the council about that. I want to make sure that we also realize long-term is our responsibility. It's the men and women that wear this patch, this is Dallas Police, it's our responsibility to protect them. And so, bigger picture, we need to ensure our department is responsible for our city. But on a short-term perspective, I'd love to have a conversation with the council.
Thank you.
Send a strong message to our city manager, send a strong message to our chief, to our officers here, that you care about this lady. So I want to say thank you for coming out, and I'm going to just out early say the third Thursday in August, we'll have our next orderly crime watch and code. Love you get that? Third Thursday, 6:30 at this time. 6:30, third Thursday, if something changes, we'll make sure you get the information. Thank you for coming out, and I'll be around. Thank you.